Never in my life did I think the words, "I can't do this alone," would save me, but they did. I used to believe I was strong enough, smart enough, stubborn enough to quit on my own. Spoiler, I wasn't. So today, I'm going to share why staying sober alone is a trap, and how community saved my life, and can save yours too. Let's get into it. Look, recovery isn't just about quitting drugs or alcohol. It's about rebuilding a life, one piece at a time. But here's the kicker, you can't rebuild it solo. No one climbs out of that hole by themselves. Trust me, I tried. I fell flat on my face more times than I can count. For years, I thought I was the exception. I thought, sure, maybe they need meetings, sponsors, late-night phone calls, but I just need willpower. Yeah, right. I remember sitting alone in my apartment, day after day, telling myself this would be the last drink, the last pill, the last time. But loneliness is sneaky. It whispers, "You've got this," when you clearly don't. And before I knew it, I was spiraling again. Rock bottom wasn't one dramatic crash, it was 1,000 small, lonely collapses. What changed everything for me was the 12-step program. And let me tell you, walking into that first meeting was terrifying. Sweaty palms, racing heart, convinced everyone would judge me. But you know what happened? Nobody judged me. They welcomed me like they'd known me for years. Here's the truth. Addiction thrives in isolation. Recovery thrives in connection. When you're stuck in addiction, your world shrinks. Friends drift away. Family pulls back. You isolate because you're ashamed, or angry, or numb. The substances become your only companion. That's why trying to recover in that same isolation doesn't work. You're using the same broken tools to fix a broken life. I had to learn to reach out, to call someone when the cravings hit, to sit in those uncomfortable meetings and stay, to let people see me cry, shake, ramble, fall apart, and not run for the door. One of the biggest myths we tell ourselves is, "I don't want to be a burden." I used to think that constantly, but here's the twist. In recovery, you're not a burden. You're a blessing. When you share your struggles, you remind others why they're here. When you ask for help, you give someone else the chance to show up, and that strengthens them too. Community gives you perspective. There were days I wanted to give up. Days I thought, this is too hard. And then I'd hear someone in a meeting share their story. Maybe they'd lost more than I had. Maybe they were just a few steps ahead of me. And suddenly, I wasn't alone in my pain. Their survival gave me hope. Let's talk about the science for a second. Studies show that social connection is one of the strongest predictors of recovery success. One research paper from the Journal of Substance Abuse Treatment found that people who regularly attend peer support groups like AA or NA have significantly higher rates of long-term sobriety. Why? Because connection rewires the brain. It gives you accountability, support, and a sense of belonging. All things addiction takes away. But here's the part nobody tells you. Community isn't just about meetings or sponsors. It's about building a life that's full of people who want you well. For me, that meant repairing old friendships. It meant having brutally honest conversations with family. It meant finding new hobbies where alcohol wasn't center stage. It meant texting people at 2 a.m. when I wanted to relapse, even though every part of me wanted to isolate. It's messy. It's awkward. Sometimes you'll feel like the outsider. But that's okay. Healing isn't smooth. It's jagged, slow, and full of surprises. There's this idea in recovery circles called terminal uniqueness. It's the belief that your situation is so special, so unique, that nobody can possibly understand or help you. I clung to that for years. It was my shield against vulnerability. But here's what I learned the hard way. You are not unique in your pain. What you're going through, others have survived. And the moment you realize that, you open the door to real healing. One moment that changed me forever. I was at a meeting, ranting about how nothing was working, how I wanted to quit. And this old-timer just looked at me, smiled, and said, "Keep coming back." No lecture, no pity, just an invitation to stay. And you know what? I kept coming back. That simple phrase became a lifeline. Because recovery isn't about having it all figured out. It's about showing up, even when you're a mess. Now, let's be real. Community doesn't magically fix everything. There were still days I wanted to crawl out of my skin. Days I relapsed. Days I sat in meetings and thought, screw this. But every time I reconnected, every time I reached out instead of isolating, I chipped away at the hold addiction had on me. Today, I'm free, but that freedom has conditions. I stay connected, I work the steps, I sponsor others, I show up, even when it's inconvenient, because I know my sobriety depends on it. If you're watching this and thinking, I can't do meetings, I'm too anxious, or nobody would understand my story, I hear you. I was you, and here's my challenge. Go anyway. You don't have to speak. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. Because the truth is, isolation kills. Community saves. So how do you build that community? First, find a program. AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, CA, or any other 12-step program. It doesn't matter which, as long as you show up. Second, get a sponsor or accountability buddy. Someone you can call when your mind turns on you. Third, be honest. Tell people when you're struggling. You'd be amazed how often people say, me too. Fourth, build a life outside of recovery. Join a gym, take a class, volunteer. Fill your life with things and people that light you up. And finally, remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't graduate from recovery. You live it, one day at a time. I wish someone had told me that sooner. I spent years thinking recovery was a finish line, some point where I'd be fixed. But it's not. It's a way of living, a way of being human, together, in all our messy, glorious imperfection. And if you're worried about failing, hear this. Relapse doesn't erase your progress. It's a detour, not the end of the road. The key is to come back, every single time. You are not weak for needing help. You are not broken because you can't do it alone. You are human, and humans heal in connection. So today, if you're sitting in your room, bottle in hand, thinking, I can't keep doing this, please, reach out. Text a friend, call a helpline, walk into that meeting. It might feel like the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's also the thing that will save your life. Because you can't stay sober alone, but together, we can do anything. Please help us share the hope and freedom that comes from recovery by liking and subscribing to our channel. We appreciate your support. And if you're looking for recovery gifts or items to celebrate your recovery, check us out at thatrecoverylife.com.